Is we live?
Yeah, we live now.
Okay, we live. Um, Peace to the chat. Uh, Everybody that's coming in should have a notification from us. Please like the show, share the show. You hear us say that again. Uh, Hold on just a second for us so we can get it going, man.
Say that again.
You watching it on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm finna copy the link and put the links in the chat.
Pulling up. I'm pulling up the presentation now. So, ETM Hotel, Rennie, Shawn, welcome in peace. My name is Shawn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the broadcast and those who may check it out after the fact. Uh, I appreciate you taking the time to check out the presentation. It's not going to be long or drawn out. It should be enough to digest. And we're going to elaborate and speak on some things that need to be spoken on and mentioned in this particular presentation. And demonstration beats conversation. So if you just now coming into the chat, if you don't mind, can you hit the like button and share the show for the family one time? And I want to say Hotep the Sinet Mo, Melanated Goddess Zane, Yao, OG Gorilla, Sniper, of course, Kofi. Kofi, you got something you want to say, man, before we really just get into it?
Well,
Elb-
my thing, is Fatmu Lafayette, Fatmu Iwa Pele, and that's bring forth good character. You know what I'm saying, and bring forth peace into the chat. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate the support. Um, and we hope y'all continue to support us. We hope we continue to bring good information to the family. I'm just ready for the bill. Ogun Majube Iba E. I mean Egungun Majube Iba E Egungun Kiki Egungun. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors because again, without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. So please, like he said, like and share the show. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Share, 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 share. And I'm ready to learn and break out your pen and paper. I'm gonna continue to say break out your pen and paper, and I'm saying break out your pen and paper because I see we present a lot of information on a lot of stuff, and people are still asking questions like no one is presenting information on these said subjects or topics or anything. So please break out your pen and paper and take note.
All right, man. Without further ado, if you want to click it on my screen, we can get it in.
It's locked. It's locked on there.
All right. So again, man, I wanna thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to start by saying that in this presentation, it may seem brief. There will be some interjection going on from me about certain things that I want to just kind of speak on. But the reason for this presentation is the fact that this is something that is missing. That's missing really, 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 really much in America today. And some of you may agree with it, some of you may not. If you disagree with it, state your argument, and then I'll respectfully reply to it if I see fit, or or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So what I let me score. Let's go ahead and just get to it, man. Let the information speak for itself.
How does Africa see the family?
Okay. Well, Africa sees the family as the bedrock of society. Africa feels that the family is what would make society sane and what would sustain society at the end of the day. And it has to do with, what Chesterton described as the triple helix. What he says is really the triangle of truism, which I would call the triple helix, is what we call the triple helix in education. Because Chesterton considered the father and the mother having that love that needs to be protected. Because the mother and the father is not just an institution that can just be abolished by society or something that can just be disregarded. In fact, he did say that any civilization that disregards the mother, father, and the child, which is an explanation of the mother and father, would destroy itself. because it's not an institution that can just be terminated or a contract that can be terminated. And so he was basically stressing the importance of marriage. And so Africa sees marriage, a union between a mom, a dad, and children, as something that actually makes society progress. And of course, in view of what we're witnessing every day in post-modernity, which sort of is trying to deconstruct the family, Africa is projecting itself and trying to grant, gain a voice and say, look, society needs to understand that the family cannot be disregarded.
Many hands make light work. Remember that, family. Many hands make light work. We identify one another by our family names. Our families are watched over by our ancestors and led by our elders. Everyone within the family unit has his or her own special role and contributions to make. We observe this understanding of the family and believe that veering from its disruptive to the unity and harmony of the community. Family in Africa is characterized by persons unborn, living, or deceased who are related to each other or may become related to each other through direct blood and ancestral affinity. Members of the same family are related to a common ancestor in biological as well as a social spiritual terms. The African idea of family comprises all the members from a particular lineage. This lineage might be, as was usual in most cultures, matrilineal or as is increasingly patrilineal. A household may consist of several generations from the oldest member of the family to the youngest. Indeed, co-residence is not necessary, although proximity is usually required. From this perspective, it is possible for a family to have several locations or houses, and the children of these several houses belong to the same family. In most cases, where polygamy exists, children live with their mothers. This entry looks at the role of the family and concepts related to kinship. In the village, each child is everyone's child, and each family member a part of everyone's family. If someone from the village marries one from another village, both villages become family. This is not just what we say or believe. This is how we live. If someone from another village needs help with some kind of work, all the men from both villages will join together to accomplish it. If a child from one village needs guidance or help, members of the nearby village will be available to provide it. It's just an image. As we respect the elders in our communities, so we respect the elders among us within our families. We defer to those who are older. They are those who look after us and who hold more responsibility. What belongs to them belongs to us. We may borrow anything from our older relative without asking. They may request that we perform certain tasks, which we will perform joyfully. We strive to lovingly be of assistance to the eldest among us. What our older relatives teach us is precious. The small ways that we may help them cannot compare to the teachings and support they provide to us. We do not think of ourselves as performing a duty or obligation. We defer to those older than us to let them know that we appreciate their guidance and all that they have to offer. The African family establishes a child presence in the world and provides the child with identity, spiritual ancestry, and personhood. One does not have personhood without the collective family in the African sense. No one is alone, and no one is an individual island. Thus, the family acculturates the child to the position that he or she occupies in the human realm. Children and families are taught their lineage, responsibilities, values, and customs and obligations to the family. Many things are taboo. That is, they are considered deeply dysfunctional to the family if they are done by the children, and this serves, therefore, as a prohibition for anti-family behavior. According to most African scholars, one of the principal roles of the family is procreation. Because it is believed by many Africans that life continues after death and that the reincarnation occurs in human form, it is important to maintain the procreative function of the family as a way of maintaining the presence of the ancestors in the land of the living. Once ritual has played its course in the remembrance of the ancestors, and there are no more children or grandchildren to ritualize the ancestors, they can only live by returning to the earth in a human form. Thus, the continuity is ensured because the ancestors return not in animal form, but in the form of a child who was born to the same lineage. Often the African elders' only worry appears to be, who shall ritualize me when I am deceased if I have no children? Therefore, men and women believe that having many children is one of the best ways to ensure continuity so that the circle of humanity, especially in the family, is not broken. This is an actual family in West Africa right here, all of them together, the eldest to the youngest, all right here. You can always tell who the elders are because they will take their seat. Among the family, the children will stand. The African family is also the center of spirituality and economic production. By increasing the product capacity of the family, often with the expansion of the members of the family through plural marriage and through adoption into the family, economic stability is maintained. Because the marriage is how members are traditionally added to families, the significance placed on marriage in Africa relates to the spiritual continuity of the group. It is rare to find matrifocal families in Africa where a mother and her children exist outside of a relationship with a man. The most popular family type may be called consanguineal, yet this term is often referred to in the West as the extended family, where the idea of the nuclear family is seen as a standard. Use of the term extended has become problematic. Thus, consanguineal families consisting of a mother and her children living with a man or a blood-related family member, which might be a husband brother, is the norm in Africa. This condition can occur if the husband dies and leaves the wife with children. Such a family does not become matrifocal because the responsibility of the husband's brother is to maintain the deceased wife or wives and children. Men and women maintain their own special roles in our communities. Women care for children, cook, garden, and sometimes help in tending to the livestock. Many times they will sell their produce and arts and crafts in the marketplace and contribute to the family fund. Men provide financial support, maintain the structure of the house, hunt and handle relations with other families. Women hold the powers and secrets for bringing forth life. Both men and women possess their own special knowledge for maintaining it. We respect the roles that men and women hold in our communities and show special reverence to our mothers for all their love, work, and support. Again, here's another image of the family from the eldest to the youngest. The young ones will stand, the babies will lap up. Now, I want you to put your life into perspective right now based on the few slides that I have read and have mentioned in dealing with the concept of family and the African village. And there were some words that I actually threw out that people can go back and, or look up and kind of research those words and to gain more understanding. What I'm saying here is that I was raised by a village. Um, my mother had me, but my mother didn't raise me. My father had married a woman at this time, my youngest brother, mom, and they had to deal with that from that perspective. And so my grandmother actually raised me, and I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, my mother's mother, my father's mother, my aunts, and my uncles on both sides of my family. So, but the majority of my life I spent with my mother's mother, who helped my mother raise me. My mother went through a lot of things. So when they say that it actually takes a village, I'm here to tell you that that's what it took for me. I had some trying times, and I needed every outlet that I could, and I benefited from the village. Several types of kinship descriptions exist in Africa. Among Africans, some groups will have no two relatives sharing the same kinship term. Although they may be equal distant in generation from the ancestor, this is rare. However, the most common description appears to be one that allows a distinction between sex and generation. In traditional societies, Africans did not utilize the Eskimo terminology, but kinship derived from the work of the Western anthropologists for the so-called nuclear family. Because Africans do not have the concept of nuclear family consisting of a father, mother, and child, it would have been inconceivable for the African sages to arrive at this type of a kinship structure. Kofi. Kofi ain't listening, y'all.
I'm listening.
All right. Can you speak for just 1 minute for me? My mom outside.
Oh yeah, that's cool. But yes, this some good information that he talking about. Um, Marriage. I mentioned in the chat while ago. I mentioned marriage is the most important right, which marriage is the most important right when it deals with those rites of passages. And those rites of passages specifically dealing with the marriage, right? It deals with nation building. It deals with marrying two families together. It deals with continuing to bring forth the ancestors. So, excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Hold on one second. Dang, now I got somebody.
I'm back.
All right, now I got somebody at the door. Hold on.
All right, let's move on. My bad, family. We'll move on right now from this slide. So family relations are broad in our communities. A child will have more than one set of parents and know many women as mother and many men as father. If our mother has any sisters, they are our mothers too. By extension, our mother's sisters' children are our brothers and sisters. Our father's brothers are our fathers also. A man's wives include those of his brothers, and women's husbands include those of her sisters. Should a man and a brother pass away, he may marry his brother's wife. This is true for a woman and her sister's husband as well. We practice this observance so that we always keep our families intact and together. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and siblings all share in the instructions, support, nurturing of a child. No child will grow without love and guidance. The Western family assumes only one mother and one father. whereas the African family considers several mothers and several fathers. The Western family speaks of a son and a daughter as children of the same parents, whereas the African family sees the son and daughter of a particular family as the son and daughter of a larger family. The Western family speaks of a brother and a sister, whereas the African family accepts all siblings of the same age group who are related to the same ancestor as brothers and sisters. Thus, the idea of first cousin and second cousin or third cousin does not exist because these are only brothers and sisters. One finds variations in all societies because human beings have become quite mobile. Thus, to speak of the African family as if it were static would be a mistake. Nevertheless, there remain some core principles that seem to dictate the way that Africans view family. The family centers one group continuity in economic production, male, female, complementary, where there is strict gender role responsibilities. The practice of procreation, you hear this word again, procreation as a matter of spiritual and community life, acceptance of children in the same generation as sons and daughters, and a haven for identity, nurturing, customs, and traditions. Another image of the family in a village. The eldest, they take their seat in a chair. Always will, always have. In these societies, the family worked together to produce the things it needed. But certain farming operations needed more than just family. So close neighbors gave assistance to each other. Families produced most of what they needed themselves, and when they did need to buy goods from other people, they did so by barter rather than money. Everyone was continually conscious of unseen presences, in particular of the deceased members of the community. Indeed, the communities were not just communities of the living, but of the living and the dead. This tended to make people conservative, unwilling to adopt new ways for fear of upsetting their dead members by introducing something unfamiliar. So the innovator was not praised as a hero, but regarded with suspicion. He might even be convicted of witchcraft for disturbing the existing balance of social order. Social order came first. Individuals had to subordinate their own wishes to those of the community and work together for the common good. Land was commonly owned and could not be permanently alienated to an individual and his family. No one could become richer or more powerful than his neighbors. Even kings, as we have seen, had their power limited. They were also obliged to share their wealth with their subjects. They could not build it up for themselves exclusively. Everyone had inescapable rights and duties towards everyone else. Hence, the sick and aged were assured of a place in the community and had to be supported. Now, there are many African tribes where you see the king with all his gold on, and you think, well, he is one of royalty. Actually, the amount of gold that he is wearing in these pictures are the communities. So the wealth is shared and distributed among one another, and that is how they maintain social balance and order. In an indigenous community, each person is precious. No one is born on this earth without a reason, a special purpose. Failure or inability to perform one's function in the village places a person in a constant state of crisis. So crisis from either of these two sources, the embodiment of a new spirit wanted to emerge, and the impossibility of doing what one came into the village to do must be addressed by the community. We do not compare our families to others. We do not look at what we did or did not receive as children. We learn not to hold grudges within our families or harbor anger. We grow up experiencing that all the responsibilities for nurturing and support does not rest solely with our parents. What our father cannot offer us, our uncle will. What our sister may not give us, our cousin can. Everyone in the family makes a significant contribution to our growth and development, and for this we are ever grateful. Nothing can divide the strong bonds of the family. Here are my sources. Screenshot it. Take a good look at it. You can go back and you can read the entire works of anything that I presented today. Good look on the first book. That's like 500 or 600 pages. The second book is 900 pages. The other book is like ain't that much. It's like 150, 200. The other book is like 140 pages. So May's work is like 330, something like that. Now, the reason for the presentation today is, and the reason that I said family first, the restoration project, is because we have lost our way, and we have been disabled as a people. We have no community or village. So we have been individualized, and we have taken on these foreign concepts that are exactly what I just said, foreign concepts. So how can we restore family? We have to start in our own households and then branch out. That means your neighbor, your direct neighbor. I don't know if you're familiar with your neighbor at all, because most people don't even go out and greet their neighbors anymore. It was a time where people used to greet their neighbors and bring gifts to their neighbors for moving into the neighborhood. We lost that. Now our neighbor may be an Arab, or maybe some lesbian couple, or it may be this single white lady, or it may be this single black lady across the street. I'm just giving you an idea. But because now we're all over the place, we have lost continuity for what kept us whole. Now, I had a birthday yesterday, but I do recall times when I grew up in the projects and everything around me was centered around the well-being of the children and the upbringing. I mean, yes, you had violence, but it wasn't toward kids. You didn't have these, you had very few incidents that actually took place where they're on a mass scale today. Our neighbors looked at one another's kids as one another's. If I got in trouble for something, I got whooped by everybody who witnessed it, or my mother would find out by those who witnessed it. It wasn't no, I ain't telling on you or none of that. You got dealt with as a child. And if you were disrespectful to other people, they handled you right then and there. My butt was not off limits to other parents. Today, if you whoop another person's child, not only would you be fighting that person's parents, you might be getting shot at by that person's parents, but they might just go downtown and press charges against you, even though their child was in the wrong. We have gotten away from our customs and traditions. We are at war, and Kofi continues to tell you that we are at war over our customs and traditions, and this is a big deal in our communities. That's why I labeled it Family First, the Restoration Project, is because we have to get back to the things that worked for us in the trying times. Yes, times have progressed. Yes, we are in a better position than we were 40 years ago. Yes, I get all of that. We have access to certain resources. I get all of that. But imagine 40 years ago, or 60 years ago, or 100 years ago, our ancestors who had this concept and never lost this African concept had the resources of today. They would have already solved a lot of our issues. And we would have been able to maintain social order within our communities. We wouldn't have neighborhoods. We would still have our communities, our village upbringing. So this is why we talk about Africa. This is why we talk about the spiritual concepts and the traditions and culture of Africa, because these are things that we can implement to solve some of our right now problems. Whether you disagree with the spirituality, or whether you disagree with certain aspects of African science, whether you disagree with the technology aspect, whether you disagree with us being, or whether you hate the fact that we were kidnapped and enslaved and brought over here to America, I don't care. Whether you don't want to have any type of state of claim to Africa, the evidence always points back. They say, let's look to our leaders. Well, our leaders tell us to look toward Africa. What can solve our problems? There are many things that we can take from the continent to solve our problems. And I believe the restoration of the family is key in solving some of our problems, because a lot of us, and me, and I'm speaking on me. I have a cousin that I don't even associate with. 20 years ago, or let's say 10 years ago, I was ride or die with. shooting out of sunroofs with, hustling in the streets with, taking trips to East Tennessee to go pick up something that we shouldn't be even dealing with, riding with a gallon of acid with, almost running into a police roadblock with a half a key with, and had to go a whole nother reroute off of instinct just to get away from the roadblock to find our way back home. I don't even associate with this guy no more. He did some really bad things. I don't hate him or anything like that. But had we been able to maintain our family structure the way that we had, and even though he is the type of person that he is, a lot of that would have been able to solve some of the problems that had occurred at that time, and we wouldn't have been so dysfunctional. Our relationship wouldn't have been so dysfunctional as it is today. Now we have absolutely no relationship, and that's fine with me. But what I'm saying is that grandma doesn't exist anymore for some of us because she has moved on into the spiritual realm. She's no longer here in the physical. And a lot of us have lost contact with even trying to maintain that order with grandma in our lives, and or grandmothers or great grandmothers or whoever you look to, big mama, that you look to that was the rock in your family. We have to get back. That's why I labeled it the Restoration Project. So through this presentation, I had hoped to reach people intellectually that can consider the information that has presented today as useful for them moving forward in their lives. Now, next week, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna deal with a little history, and we're gonna get into some West African stuff, dealing with some things. Now, next week's presentation, just like this one, is not going to be lengthy. It's going to be educational. It's going to be something that grabs your attention. Ladies, I put something in there for you as I did for the men. So we're gonna have a little fun with it, and we don't always have to be so serious and always talk about certain things. So hopefully this is a change in the direction, and hopefully this presentation will be received by everyone who tuned in today, or whoever wanted to share it on their timelines or introduce this presentation to their own family members and other people. And again, sorry for the interruption. I knew my mother was coming, but I didn't think it would be right at this particular time. So that little gap in between there, I apologize for that. And Kofi, you got something to say, man, before I rock it? These are the picture references, by the way.
No, I just want to say, man, good presentations, and you made a lot of key points. And I was raised by a village also. My mom, my grandmother, well, my mom gave, no, my grandmother gave my mom away to my great great grandmother, and then later on, my mother gave me and my brother away to to my grandmother. So my grandmother raised me. So I had my great great grandmother, I had my grandmother, which is my mom's mom. I had my granny. I wasn't as close to her, but she was a part of my life. That's my father's mother. I had my dad's sister, which is my auntie, and her husband, which is my uncle. And so I had a lot of people around me that actually that actually raised me, you know, into the man, well, actually raised me, as I can't say, into the man that I am today, because some of those things that I ignored, I kind of looked upon later on in life, and took it and ran with it, man. So yeah, it's important, man, to have the family structure. Hold on one second. Hold on. Golly. Woo, woo. Golly.
Kofi burned up his food, y'all.
Yo, Leo, golly. All that stuff.
I shouldn't have asked him to do nothing. My bad.
Yeah, you the best me up, man.
You the one long-winded.
But anyway, good presentation. I can keep going on and on. You see how I let him talk when I'm rocking out, but he always want to stop, B. But I'm gonna stop. But again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all for supporting the Mossi Warrior Clan channel. We'll tune in next week. Shawn be coming back with another presentation. I'm still on vacation, and I think after the next presentation, I'll come back and we're gonna get into.
He lying. I got one more.
I just said after you get through with your next one, I'm gonna come on. Yes, I'm gonna come on. You got 2 more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good with me. That give me a little bit more time to stay on vacation because I'm trying to.
I'll hold the last one.
Huh?
Look, I'll hold the last one.
All right, man. If you want to rock out with it, go ahead, man.
No, people want to see Kobe Pie side. They don't come here to see me.
Boy, you silly, but yeah, but when I do come back, we're gonna get into I guess I'm gonna keep the name African, and I'm using this title for a reason. African religion, African spirituality concepts, the how and the why. So we'll go into the concepts, how our ancestors created what some people quote African religion and what some people quote African spirituality, and I'll go into African spirituality. I'll go into religion. Is religion the same as African spirituality? Is spirituality the same as religion? And we'll go into a bunch of different ethnic groups. I'm gonna take you on a walk through a whole bunch of ethnic groups and their spiritual or their indigenous systems, what entails in their indigenous systems, why and how they came up with these ideals and these concepts, and can we utilize these ideals and concepts in today's time, which is yes. I'm gonna say yes, we can. So be looking forward for that. Also be looking this evening at 6 p.m. on Kofi Paisa TV. Brother Shawn will be coming back and he'll be doing another presentation on Kofi Paisa TV. And again, appreciate y'all's support. So tune in, support, share, share, share. I ain't got nothing else to say, Shawn.
You sure?
I'm sure, man. You don't want me to talk. You don't want me to talk.
About time. Shoot, I'm getting hungry. Y'all know what time it is.
For the unity and the redemption of the African world.
Salute them honorable Marcus.
We are not ready to listen then.
They might not have been ready then.
I wonder whether we are ready.
Ain't no doubt about it.
To listen.
We ready, baby.
Now.
Let's go. Yeah.
Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high.
Black fists in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. Hold it high. Let it fly. Rebels colors forever, Garvey would never die. On my night in the throne ready, let's take a ride. Cats won't fix, men don't choose a side. This is the path for the warriors. Some travel, yet still vainglorious. Black power represents us. You either vote with Africa or against us.
Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high.
Black fists in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. The red is for the blood. I got the best stock. The rest got slugs. The black is for the gods, melanated and elevated, holding the main charge. The green is for the cradle. Africa, everything first, the earth's navel. His Excellency put it together as a symbol of liberation. That's how we get the letters RBG.
Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high.
Black fists in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on.
Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high.
RPGs on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. The blind minds is 99. People on it know the time. I'm the drab on my design. We won't ready. Hard line, ain't no games with that red flame. Triple stage of that black bang. Revolution in my
my veins till we free, I won't change. And you can count on that like an abacus. Celebrate the victories and the challenges. It's deeper than social media statuses. This lifestyle for nation building practices. Yeah, fuck a flag fly high, a flag fly high, a flag fly high. Black this in the sky, where you side to side, it's the flag fly high. Come on, flag fly high, a flag fly high, a flag fly high. RPGs on the line, all eyes can recognize the flag fly high. Red, 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 black, 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 green, green, green. RPG about that red, 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 black, 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 green, green, green. That RPG about that red, 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 that black, 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 that green, green, green. RPG about that red, 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 black, 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 green, green, green. That
RBG, baby.
RPG, baby.
Fly high,
A flag,
fly high.
a flag, fly high.
Hey.
Shout out to all my RPGs worldwide. Doing this thing, God is like, no, don't not. Yeah. Flag, fly high, a flag, fly high. Come on. Flag, fly high, a flag, fly high, a flag, fly high.
RBG's on the ride.
All eyes gonna recognize a flag, fly high.
Family First, the Restoration Project.